We're here this afternoon to meet Thomas Campbell, who coordinates the Men's Engagement Network and facilitates meetups throughout the local area. Thomas has started a men's support group.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about how it started, his journey, what it took him to do this, and really what the group gives to each other, because it is peer support, isn't it?
Oh.
Specifically for men, and 2.5 years later, the group has grown, as have the number of locations in the city. So yeah, Thomas. So over to you. I mean, what was the thinking behind this?
So for me, the whole reason that this came about, I came out of recovery and addiction from alcohol, and through Northlands, and we do a 2-year aftercare program. So we meet every single week, and it's just talk about your week. How was your week? What struggles have you had? And you get the peer support from the people that are further along their journey. Mm-hmm. And I was coming to the end of my 2 years, and I was thinking, why is there not something like this set up where men can come once a week, talk about what's happening, what's bothering them, what's troubling them, and then get the peer support from all the people who have loved it already and are further on down the line. At the time, I was working with a guy called Kevin Leonard. He's a social worker for Glenderrick Medical, and we come up with the idea of starting a men's cafe, and that was run through the MDT teams in Glenderrick Medical. Yeah. So the original idea that I had was we do 12 weeks. We have 12 guest speakers come in, talk about different subjects through the whole 12 weeks. I had 11 guest speakers, because the first week it was going to be myself do the introductions and see what was going to happen. And the first event that we had, the first group on the Thursday night, the men came in and they just sort of sat together and socialised, and they just started telling their own stories, and I thought, no, this is what it is. Yeah. This is how it's meant to be. And from then on it just stayed the same. We didn't change anything, and it was just men coming in, supporting men and telling their stories.
And was that in Claude's Café?
That was in Claude's. That was the first.
The very first one. I met you before that, though. Were you taking people fishing?
I was, yes. So I started a fishing group for men and addiction and mental health. That started very early in my journey in recovery. So you need to find something that helps you.
An activity,
Fishing for me was my getaway. I think I'd done a video for the BBC one time, and I said it sounds very cliche and how your troubles wash away with the water. But for me, that's what it was. When I was standing in that water, nothing bothered, nothing ever came across my mind. My whole focus that whole time was wait for that pull of the line, and it just took me away. And it helped me so much in my early part of my recovery journey.
Yeah, that's gone back a few years. I remember it was Men's Mental Health Week or something. I met you.
Yeah.
And I think it was McGee. I think it was an event in McGee.
It was an event in McGee, yes.
But I like that initially you were thinking, we'll get some experts into the room, when actually the experts were already in the room.
This is what this idea was for somebody to come in that needed support, and for somebody that's already had the journey to be able to give them the support that they needed. Yeah. And it just blew me away that these conversations were happening 3 weeks on, and I was standing going, this is just amazing,
Yeah, because it can be really isolating when you're dealing with something that, something like that, like a diagnosis, and you're having to navigate the health and social care system, which is really complicated. Yeah. So to be able to reference somebody being there, I can imagine just how comforting that was.
Yeah. And I think it's just sort of, it was for anybody that was coming in, and then mental health issues, it's something that is a very daunting experience for somebody that's fresh on the
that arena
of anxiety, depression, and not knowing what's happening, not knowing the reason why that their mind's working like this, and for to come in and to sit and talk to somebody that has battled through it, come out the other side, has been able to get their coping mechanisms in place, and show them that there is a way out. Now, I've heard somebody saying it's nice to be able to lend somebody a bit of hope until they've got the hope themselves, and I think that's what we do very well within the Men's Cafe.
Yeah, and we all need hope.
Yeah.
And we all need a sense of purpose, and I suppose that's kind of what you get from what you started.
Oh, aye.
Yeah.
Big time. Like, I didn't think I was going to be stung 2 years later. I never had thought I was going to be on the 5 different cafes, 5 nights a week. And I had initially thought we'll do 12 weeks, and if we get 5 or 6 people on, it would be amazing. Like, 2 years on, the group has got, I think it was 60 odd members that are on the WhatsApp groups. And it's not just the cafes. Like, these men meet up outside of that.
Right.
They've built some really strong friendships. They went up and done Belfast markets. They go and do cinema nights, and they go to each other's houses and do like curry nights where they cook for each other, and it's a big social aspect of it as well for a lot of them.
The social aspect is so important, and I think sometimes we forget that human connection is something that if we're deprived of it, we don't thrive, but when we get it, and it's like that notion that people fix people.
Yeah.
It's, we have it, and we have medicines, and we have therapies, and we have interventions, but really what it comes down to is that connection, which is so powerful. But this cafe is actually given 60 members. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And are the members going to each cafe, or are they going to certain cafes? So, like Claude's Cafe, is there a certain group goes there, and a different one goes to? It's the Guild Cafe, isn't it?
The Guildhall Cafe,
Yeah,
happens on a Friday, and then you have the back alley pool hall.
Yeah.
And then we have one in, out towards Strabane there. A guy, Andy Padden, set that one up.
Okay.
It just came underneath the umbrella of the men's support group.
Okay.
And then recently we have at the Chantella Community Centre. They do one on a Wednesday evening as well.
And how does that look then? Is that just other members of the public? Are they already members of your cafe or are they, are they members already of the cafe and they're thinking I could start this up in my own area? Or are they just other people going seeing what you're doing and being inspired?
I don't know if it's down that they've seen what I've done and been inspired by it, or has it just been that they've seen that it needs to be done?
Yeah.
No matter what way it's come about, it's needed no matter what anyway. We have another guy as well, a guy called Smooth Doherty, and he does a group as well in Pennyburn, Youth Club on a Wednesday night. And the men sort of find what works for them. And like, Claude seems to be the main one. Claude seems to be the one that we get the biggest crowd on. Like, there's evenings you go on the Claude's and there could be 35, 40 men on there, like, and it's
good coffee though.
It's good coffee. It's good coffee. But there's some of them just like going to the pool hall.
Yeah.
And there's some of them like going to the Guildhall Cafe because it's quieter. So they all find what works for them.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Definitely, they stay engaged.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. Like.
And I know you, a certain group have actually put together a book, which I have here, What Makes a Real Man. Well, what was the inspiration behind this?
That just sort of came about as a bit of a crazy idea.
That's some of the best ideas, a crazy idea.
Well, because my original thought was to do the 12 weeks with guest speakers on.
Yeah.
We had gotten in touch with the Millennium Forum, and we had asked the Millennium Forum, is there any way that we could use their rooms to do a 6-week men's talk? And it was I tried to cover 6 different aspects of men's health or mental health. So we've done suicide, parenting, sexuality, addiction, mental health, and the last one then was the actual launching of the exhibition that we've done. So over them 6 weeks we had the 6 guest speakers come in and do a talk with the men. So they talked for about 45 minutes, and then we had a question and answering service with the guys. But we also had a girl called Grunya McCool, and Grunya McCool's a creative writer.
Okay.
So she was there for the end of the groups to stay on, and we wanted the men then to write their stories. And the idea was to do an exhibition in the Millennium Forum. So when it came to after 6 weeks and we got all the men's stories together and we put the exhibition up, the response we got back from that was amazing, and we thought, why can't we just put all the stories together and launch it in a book? And it was a guy from the men's group, a guy called Liam Duffy, and Liam was the inspiration behind it. Then he put it all together. He done everything.
He made it follow through right to what we have today. It is a great book, and I have read each story, and I was at the launch of it as well. And You've mentioned a number of things there. It's bereavement or sexuality and mental health, but there's a sense of loss in a lot of that, and grief. And we've spoken before, and you said even with your addiction, and that was a sense of loss because it was the loss of the self that has gone now.
We both, for me, I class my journey in addiction as the class as recovery.
Yeah.
I class it as a bereavement. For me, the alcohol was there. It was there when I was happy, when I was sad. It was there for me when nobody else was. And to go on to recovery then and remove that, it felt to me as if I had lost somebody. I had lost that support that was there for me for so long.
That crutch.
So it's learning then how do you live your life without that support.
Yeah.
So it's changing the things that you do, how you live, and it's a journey, and it's how people always think because I'm in recovery that the addiction is no longer there. Mm-hmm. But I say to them, no, it's like if you have a family member who passes away, even 20 or 30 years down the line, something will happen that'll make you remember about that person, and that's the same way it is in addiction.
Yeah.
That thought, it's always there, and that's why you have to be on guard.
And having that level of awareness, and it's the same for people who are living with bereavement, that level of awareness, what your triggers are, and understanding what the emotions are that bubble up, and then how you rationalise that and work those through, so important.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So 2.5 years later, what would you have done differently, if anything?
Started sooner.
I love it.
Started it sooner. I would love, for the first 12 weeks, we had a social worker from HTP and the Café. And it was great because the men that were coming in who were having troubles with their own GPs, they were able to text the social worker from that GP and go, can you look on this, or can you get in contact with this person? And it was taking that busyness or the rush it was trying to get into doctors. It was taking that away and relieving that stress and anxiety for people, for the men that were coming in. If we were able to have kept that connection going.
Yeah, that's real partnership, isn't it? That's where a community comes together with a statutory provider, So maybe we can pick that one up again, hey?
We found it was so amazing, and it was great that it was done between 4 and 6, because the majority of times they're still within their working hours.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like they were coming out and having to give their own free time. They probably were giving up an hour of their own free time, but for them to be there and they have the reassurance. But it was the same as well until we were more secure within ourselves to have the conversations, they were able to help people. They were there to do that responsibility. Where if somebody was having a really tough time, we could say, well, here's the social worker. Do you want to go down on the, on Claude's, there's a couple of wee booths. Yeah. Do you want to go on the wee booth and have that more in-depth conversation with them?
It's having that support in place right there and then. But you don't take this lightly. Beyond the actual cafe meetups, there's other activities you're involved in. There's walking groups, but there's, certain provisions you've made sure that to keep people safe and to keep yourself safe, like training. Talk us through some of that.
We've done suicide awareness training with Prepares, with a couple of us are all first aid trained. We've done the walking training. Mm-hmm. People laugh when you say you've done walking training, but there is quite a bit behind it. It's not learning how to put one foot in front of the other. No. There is a lot of safety precautions that you have to put in place. Yeah. But it is just making sure that if a difficult conversation comes up where somebody is really struggling, that we are prepared to be able to deal with it. And how we deal with it ourselves, you can't take everything on board and personalise it, because then you're taking other people's problems home with you. And people have enough going on without having to deal with other people's problems, and it's able to help them deal with it, but also be able to leave it where it is.
Yeah, healthy boundaries. Yeah. And that it's up to that person to find their own solution. With a bit of guidance and support, but if they find the solution themselves, then they know how to go there again the next time it happens, so that's really important. Yeah. So what are your hopes for the future now, 2.5 years in? What do the next couple of years look like, or is it just evolving naturally?
It evolves naturally, and then I have a crazy idea of something that I might want to do. I have a few.
Oh,
I have a
okay.
few on there. I'm not giving none away yet. Not giving none away
We'll
yet.
come
but,
back again after we've seen the crazy idea.
There is one that I would love to do. I would love to do a play of the men's stories. So I'd love to have maybe 6 or 7 different segments, touching on different subjects, but have it as short plays. Because I think it's great being able to read the stories, but for some people they can't read or they don't learn from reading. For me, being dyslexic, whenever I read, they move about and I don't get sentences.
Yeah.
Or sentences are me words one after the other. It doesn't make sense when I read.
Yeah.
So having it on a play form to be able to see it, it makes more sense to me because I learn different from other people, and I think that's what it's about. It's to show or to give people the chance to be able to see it in whatever way they have it, as it reading or as a play form where they're more visual learners.
Absolutely, and we all learn differently. And I really get that point you're making because I can't remember the man's name that got up and spoke. I think he was from Donegal.
Mervyn?
Was it Mervyn in the Millennium Forum about his? No, it was from Claudy. Yeah. And really, he walked through his story, and he brought that, and it's in here.
Yeah.
But he brought that story to life, and it really stuck with me. It still does. It was very, very powerful. So, yeah, we need to commission a writer to do that for you. You're already halfway down that line, aren't you? But that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not the only thing you do. I mean, you work full time somewhere else as well, don't you?
Yeah. So I work for Northlands, which is a rehab centre for people on addiction.
Yeah.
But for me, I love that place that I work. Like the work that they do there is amazing. I was on there myself. I was on there now coming up in nearly 5 years ago. Whenever I was on Northlands. It was a hard time. People think, you're going to rehab, you're just going to lie back and take it easy for a lot of weeks. It's not like that.
No. You do the work.
You do a lot of work.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that you talk about stuff on there that you haven't told the close people to you, and you're sitting in a room with a pile of strangers and you're telling them all your dark secrets, and that's not easy.
No.
It's a really tough time, but it needs to be done, and I like it because I can be the nice voice. I can be the voice that's showing you that there is a
way.
There is a way out.
Yeah.
There is possible, but again, that's something that I'm lending them a bit of hope until they've got their own hope.
Yeah.
And I love that whole idea of just being able to give somebody a bit of hope until they have their own, because then when they have their own, they can pass a wee bit on to somebody else. And we see that a lot with the men's groups.
Yeah.
A lot of the men that come through, you see them at the very start, very shy, very set back, and then long months down the line, they're coming up with these great ideas that they love to try and have the men involved in. So you do start to see it, and you see them progress through the group where they come into a peer support role, where they're helping the new ones coming in.
Yeah.
And it's great to see. It's
that giving back, isn't it?
100%.
And a sense of purpose. And I know you're very, that's something you do a lot of and think very highly of. It's that sense of volunteering or just giving back to your community is so important.
It's so important for me because I know how much it helped me. At the very start of my journey in addiction, the hardest part for me was to reach my hand out for help. But what I say, whenever I did reach that hand out, there was a whole pile of hands that reached in to help me. And I like to pass that on now. I like to show people that there is people out there that are willing to help.
Yeah.
But you have to ask for it first. And if you don't come and ask for the help, you're not going to find it. And it sort of gets to me about whenever people say, there's nothing out there for us. There is no help. There's so much help out there.
Yeah.
So much help. But you have to want it. You have to look for it.
You do, yeah. And you don't have to look too far. I mean, you have 5 days a week in the city. There's a cafe happening, so that's phenomenal. And do you have a Facebook page? You have a Facebook page? Do you have a website?
No, so we have the Facebook page.
Yeah.
So it's the Men's Engagement Network.
Men's Engagement Network. So we'll share those details.
That just shares everything that's happening and everything that's going on. We try to keep that all on there.
Yeah.
Just to keep everybody informed of
what's going on. And we're really wanting to put this book into all our desk positive libraries as well, because even our line of work is about end of life, advanced care planning, caregiving, and bereavement. But it's a health crisis. That's what it's about, you know, and most of these stories, if not all of them, are about a health crisis one way or another.
Yeah.
So we've a growing number in Northern Ireland and now in the Republics. So I'll be in touch. If somebody else wanted this book, where can they get it?
So they can reach out to the Men's Engagement Network
Right.
Facebook page. There is a couple of other places. I think there's ones in the Mining Forum.
Right.
There's ones in Claude's. I need a delivery. Actually has them. You can order it, get delivered to your house.
Oh, fantastic. And there's a price on it as well.
It's contribution based.
I thought that was the thinking, yeah.
Yeah.
So
We were informed we had to put a price on it.
right.
We didn't want to,
Okay.
but we were informed we had to.
Maybe a suggested donation price. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Thomas, for your time
thank
today.
you.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I wish you all the best luck with your future endeavours.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Cheers.
Cheers.